Hey, and welcome to episode 11 of Kingdom Business TV. This is the Christmas episode. The Christmas episode. So for the next little while, we're going to be hanging out talking all things kingdom business. What that means is we're going to talk about how do you do business from a kingdom perspective. And here's the irony about kingdom business. If you want to build a kingdom business, it must start with the king. All right. So interestingly, that's kind of what we're talking about here. So we're going to be taking calls from you guys. I can't wait till I can see who joins me, and that'll be a good time to hang out with you guys. And thank you. So, Craig, whenever you get a second, you can fire this one up, and then I can see who is on with me. That'll be super cool. And we have a little mascot dog here who's going to join us today. Does a little circle as he goes. And that's enough from him. All right, so guys, appreciate it. Stephen, always first. You are amazing. And I want to see these guys as they come on. Jenny, Craig, if you can move that even a little bit further forward to me, that would be great because I'm struggling to see those people. Noelia is on. That's super, super cool. So we're here to talk about business, right? And I am feeling festive, so I am going to be giving some things away, right? Including books. Why would we give away books? Well, because you guys need to learn, right? You always have to learn before you can earn. And so books is a great way to do that. So I've got a stack of them here and so forth. Sarah, thank you for joining. Jason, thank you for joining. You guys are great. Once you jump on, do me a favor, write a comment, put a comment in the comments box. Could be a good day, could be a fist pump, could be one of these, whatever you want to do. Just put me a comment in the comments box to let me know you're here. That's the oxygen that makes me want to keep going. So what am I going to be giving away on today's episode? We've got a bunch of books here. And so what have we got? We got Leaders Eat Last by Simon Sinek, which is a great book on leadership and how to think properly. We've got The Power of Connection, so how to become a master communicator to your team, your company, and inside your head. We've got How to Win Friends and Influence People, which is a classic, been around for a long, long time. We've got 0 to 1 by a tech entrepreneur called Peter Thiel. He's a great VC, venture capital guy. And then we have The Barefoot Investor. And so most people are pretty familiar with that, but it's a great book nonetheless in terms of personal finances. And also, I'm going to be giving away a one-on-one coaching session. Yes, at some point in January, you and I will jump on the phone to the winner, and for 30 minutes, I'm going to coach you through a whole bunch of stuff. How do we choose who gets what? Well, the one-on-one coaching session is going to go to the curliest coaching question, the curliest question you could ask me, right? Whoever asks me the hardest, toughest, craziest question, I'm just going to choose gets a one-on-one coaching session. The rest of you guys will get books. But here's what I need you to do. I need you to ask a question on the show. So to do that, I need you to go and just send a message to Business Greenhouse. Okay, so you just literally, if you have to minimize the screen, if you're on your phone, you've got to minimize, which means you've got to hit that top little, the squares. It'll minimize the video. And then you can just hit the message, hit message, type as a message, and then Craig will converse with you and get you in there. Then he'll ring you. Then you'll be live on the live show. So you can just put your phone number straight into the message or something like that, and Craig will reach out to you. And when I get you on here, you'll get to choose from these freebies, and that is super cool. All right, Craig, do you want to line us up a caller so that we can take some questions? While you're doing that, I'm going to kind of do a preamble to scripture of the day. When I won't teach this just yet, but just to give you a taste of where we're going with this, I'm going to be talking about Luke, and it's a scripture that we're all familiar with, the parable of the minas. Right? There is so much to this story, it blows my mind, and I'm just going to pick one thing out that's going to be cool. All right, Craig, who do we have? Jeremy.
Jeremy speaking.
Jeremy, what can I help you with today?
My question is, and you probably hear this
Merry
a little
Christmas
bit
to you, sir.
In the service industry, like painting and cleaning and all the rest of them sort of industries. But mine's got a little twist to it because I've come across our industry where we contract, and I see contractors contract to people, and they obviously contract to them under the award wages. And, that's okay if they're all right with it, I guess, and they don't want to pay super and all that sort of stuff. But I see Christian businesses do it these days, and it disturbs me a little bit. What's your thoughts on it?
Well, I agree, and it disturbs me greatly. And yes, it really does lend itself to the trades kind of world. There's a lot of this going on, like commercial cleaning and so forth is rife. So, I mean, I get it, and I do see it. And, I mean, when somebody that doesn't know Christ rips people off, I kind of get it, right? Because they may or may not have a moral boundary. So I get that. But when a believer does it, I mean, it's just disastrous because it's so bad for the faith. It's so bad for the branding. I think, like, how do you deal with that as a business that chooses to be ethical? I think you've got to all you can do, right, is make yourself as competitive as you can be. So you need to, maybe you need to find other ways to do cost cutting rather than wages to make sure you get the margin that you need. But in my experience, those companies that play those games, they don't last. Right, they are flushed out of them. They might do 1, 2, 3 years and then they disappear because they don't make any money either, believe it or not, because they can't get loyal staff. So if you take a long-term view, if you're in business for 5 or 10 years, those cowboys will come and go anyway, and you'll be left standing. Not every customer that buys from us is a price-sensitive customer, so you can be more expensive and still build a great business. You don't have to be the cheapest to win. In fact, every single person in Australia who's got a car didn't go and buy the cheapest car they could get, right? They went and bought whatever they wanted. So some people bought a $9,000 Hyundai, and some people spent a $500,000 Rolls Royce. So not everybody is a price shopper. So I think the way you get around it is you've just got to build an insane amount of value in your presentation or in your company or in your sales pitch to explain why you are not the cheapest, right? And I think it's okay for you to be very clear about the other people in the industry who are doing the wrong thing. I think it's okay to be very clear about, you might call it bagging them, I don't know, but I just think it's okay to be clear. One of the things that I'm not 100% sure on is part of me just wants to ring the authorities and say, hey, this company are doing the wrong thing and make an anonymous claim. Like to me, I'm like, I want to flush the corruption out of the world. So if that means ringing somebody up, like the ATO or someone, and saying they're doing the wrong thing, to me, I don't think that's too bad. I think we need to call people to a higher standard. And so I'm 50-50 on that one, whether I would actually do that. But part of me thinks it's not a bad idea.
Well, that was my other question. I know of Christian companies. Do I say anything to them? Like, as a fellow business person, do I say to them, hey, you're doing the wrong thing? And either go to them, front on front, or do I say, hey, if you keep doing this, I'm going to have to tell the authorities?
Well, Scripture says if you've got a beef with your brother, you go to them and you explain it, and if that doesn't work, take a third party to go to your brother and have it out, and if that doesn't work, then go to the oversight or whatever. So that's not a bad model to follow. If you know who this person is, you could probably go to them and say, hey, listen, you're not only breaking the Australian, tax code, but you're actually breaking the moral law too. Scripture's very clear on robbing wages of people that work for you. And if they go, shut up, I don't care, well, then maybe dob them in. I don't know, but at least you gave them a chance to do the right thing, which I think is a pretty good idea.
Oh, it was really good to hear that. No, I like to hear other people's opinion on it, and so I do see it from time to time, and it's just unfortunate I see it in the church a lot, and it'd be good to address it.
At the end of the day, we're not going to change culture if we're complicit with the same world system that we're trying to overthrow, right? So if we want to change culture, the first thing we've got to do is not comply to the current culture that creates poor people, right? So
right,
what we're talking about here is, if you have to expose the unrighteousness of underpaying staff, so be it. That's what we're here for. We're trying to change culture.
Yeah. Awesome.
Jeremy, you're a legend. Appreciate you
so
calling in, and our paths will cross soon, no doubt. Merry Christmas to you.
It was. Bless you, brother. Thank you.
Bye. So that's my 2 cents. Maybe it's a little bit harsh for some, but trying to change culture. So now, guys, did you hear the news? Crazy, crazy news. Kingdom Business Summit is on again, March 2019. By the way, if you're like, oh, this guy's, all he talks about is the summit, sue me, right? Like, it's my gig. I'm so passionate about it. It makes a massive difference to people, and I want you to come. And for the next 24 hours, in fact less, because it's going to stop at lunchtime tomorrow, so 20 hours, 21 hours, for the next 20 hours, I'm doing the most insane deal. Like, tickets are $79, and so far, I don't know, 380 people, have bought tickets at full price. And then I did a second ticket for $20. But I'm actually doing 5 tickets where the first one's $79 and the other 4 are only $20 each. You can buy 1 ticket, 2, 3, 4, 5, but all the other 4 are only $20 each. So you can bring a crew with you. But that expires at lunchtime tomorrow. So jump over to kingdombusiness.com.au, grab your tickets, don't be late. Once one of our cities is 50% full already, and it's been less than 2 weeks, and we've got 9 weeks to go. So it's gonna fill up, and literally capacity is capacity. So don't ring me and say, oh, I want to buy a ticket. It's too late. Once they're gone, they're gone. kingdombusiness.com.au. What was I gonna say about Luke, right? Luke, man, I love Luke, the beloved physician. Man, I love this guy. He was able to articulate some pretty amazing things in the faith. So the parable of the minas is Luke 19, 13, I guess it starts. Well, it starts at 11, but it starts to get good at around 13. So you know the story. A man of noble birth went to a distant country to have himself appointed king, and then he came back. So he called 10 of his servants and gave them 10 minas. So think about this. No, I like to pick up on the little things. He called 10 of his servants. That means he had more than 10, but he only called 10. How did he choose? Interestingly, he had more servants, but he called 10 and had a financial transaction with them. That tells me that certain people are anointed for finance more than the others, and that's us, the business people. Then he gathers and he says, I'll get this right in a second. So he gave them 10 minas and said, put the money to work until I come back. Some other ones say, do business until I return. But his subjects hated him and sent a delegation after him to say, we don't want this man to be our king. He was made king, however, and returned home. Then he sent for his servants. Interesting how they didn't really like him. It's a little bit like the heart of man is always warring against God. Then they sent for his servants to whom he'd given the money in order to find out what they had gained with it. The first one came and said, sir, your mina has earned 10 more, right? That's not 10 turning into 20, right? That's 10 turning into 100 because each mina got 10 more. So started with 10, and then he got 10, so he got 100. Interestingly, well done, my good servant, the master replied, because you have been trusted worthy in a very small matter. Here's an interesting point. Take charge over 10 cities, right? Next, the second came to him and said, sir, your mina has earned 5 more. So he turned, he turned it into 50, okay? And then he says, you take charge over 5 cities. Then we know the story, right? The last one came to him and said, I did dead set nothing with it. And then he ends up giving him a bit of a, bad rap. And he says, give it to the person that had 10 and so forth. So I don't want to talk about the 1. I want to talk about the 5 and the 10. What's interesting for me, right, is that the person that was good with 10 minas was put over 10 cities. Talk about multiplication of influence, multiplication of responsibility, multiplication of, culture. This is the world that we live in today. It's not minas, right? It's not cities. But you and I need to prove that we can be good with what he has given us today. We need to multiply what he has given us today. And when we prove that, we get given the promotion. 10 minas, 10 cities. 5 minas, so 10 minas into 100, 100 into 10 cities. 10 minas into 50 over 5 cities. It is an amazing concept because it's not just about then. This is about right now. The Lord is looking for people who can be good stewards with what he's already given them today. You've been given things today, like your mindset, the bit of wealth you've got, the smarts you've got, the faith you've got, the people around you, the country you live in, the time you live in. You've got those things. How are you stewarding them right now? You need to be earning multiples. You need to be thinking about, making your business 50, 100, 200, 300% bigger over a period of time. That's how you can show the Lord that you can be trusted with what he's given you. He's looking for that. And that person that does that and then is prepared to give it back, you know, they're the people that can be trusted with a lot. Don't you think it's interesting that he called 10, gave 10 minas, and only 3 came back? 7 completely disappeared, did nothing, probably stole the money and ripped it off. How many people in the faith are being blessed by God and not giving the money back to the kingdom? They're just taking the blessing, running off and buying fast cars and stupid things with it. Anyway, that's a side note. That's just how I feel. So that's my question for you, right? You know, you just need to be, you don't need to be worried about the big end of town. You don't need to be worried about, you know, how you're going to be a billionaire. You just need to worry about multiplying what you have right now. And when you do that, you will win. So if you've got a question for the show, go into the, send us a message. So go to the Business Greenhouse Facebook page, send us a message in there, and then one of my team will reach out to you and we will get you on the show. And when I get you on the show, then I'm going to give you some wonderful books as prizes. I will write in them and then we'll get them in the post box tomorrow and you can have these 3. Craig, are we getting any messages? Yes. Okay, good. That's good to hear. So, well, I'm in your hands, Craig. What are we going to do here? Are we going to get somebody on the phone straight away? All right. Well, Craig, find me another caller. Brian.
Hello, Brian speaking.
Brian, it's Wez Hone. You're on Kingdom Business TV.
Hi, Wes. How are you?
Merry Christmas to you, sir.
Thank you, and to you as well.
What can I help you with today?
Look, I work in a very sensitive area, and it's not so much not-for-profit, but it's low profit. I work in suicide prevention education, and through our church, we provide every month one session for the public that we advertise publicly for people to come to quite cheaply. But it's really hard to engage people in such a sensitive area. And I just wanted to know if you had any advice on how I might attract people to something like that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think the reason why they are reluctant is because, you know, they have to be vulnerable. Is that a fair call?
That is a fair call, yeah, and it's a subject people don't like to talk about.
Sure. So for me, what I would immediately do is start putting out lots and lots of content, right, to flood the market with, you know, basically arresting people's fear of reaching out to you. So that could be that you start to just, like I am right now, to camera, talking about suicide prevention, showing empathy for the victims, right? It could be that you start to, you interview somebody that you've been able to help through this process. And so they get to see that you didn't judge this person. And they get to see this person say, you guys were beautiful to deal with, you handheld me, it made it really, really special. So we basically, what we're doing here is we're bragging, but we're not doing it directly. We're letting everybody else do it. Let the content speak for itself.
Yeah, yeah.
And I think if you could even create some well thought through content, and you spoke directly into the thing of, you know, so Bob, tell me, we helped you through this process. What was it like to reach out to us at the beginning? And they'll be like, it was really hard, but what I learned was you guys really care. And so you could basically create the outcome you want and flood that into the marketplace, and people get to see it.
Okay. Yep. Okay. So I'll go with the content idea, because that's what I haven't done a lot of yet.
I just don't know another way, because if you go out there and say, "Hey, we'll never judge you," that's not gonna arrest their fears, because everyone's going to say that, even if they do judge them.
Yeah. Just to clarify there, that the work I do is actually, if you came to a session, is to teach you how to be aware of someone else who might be suicidal and how to deal with that. I don't deal directly with suicidal people.
Yeah, nice. Okay. So nothing really changes from me. The only other thing that you may want to do is to even get their attention in the first place, given that extra bit of information, you might want to put out content around the obligation, right, of being on the lookout, you know, for the signs. Like, start putting out content that goes, you know, here's 5 videos on the 5 signs to look for in your workplace for somebody who might be suicidal, right? And you know, and maybe start providing scripts that people could use if they think they might know somebody who's suicidal, so they're non-threatening. So you could probably go
okay.
and arm your audience with a whole bunch of collateral, and then they're going to end up saying, I don't want to do this, but can you come in and help? And
Yep, sure.
but I think you've just got to, you know, sit in their shoes. What's their biggest concern? You know, if it's business people, they probably like, in honestly, they're probably sitting there going, oh, here's another thing I've got to go and do. So you need to put out content that makes it simple for them to be able to do it, right? You know, literally, like
right,
for example, a 1-page cheat sheet, right, which is beautifully made up with graphics. That's like the 5 vital signs that you need to look out for to be able to spot suicide or mental health or however you would language it, right? And then say to people, hey, listen, if you like what I'm talking about and you would like a copy of this sheet, go to this website, put in your name and address, and I'll email it to you. Right, and now you build a database.
Then I collect an email database.
Yeah, and then you just email it to them, or you get a physical one and you post it to them, whatever you want to do. But I think if you start putting out content for long enough, you'll get the ear of the prospects, and then you could ask them to come and download something, and as long as it's a valuable resource, they'll do it. You know, I think as a complete side note, Brian, I think the world needs to become really smart in this area. You know, suicide. You know, in the last 5 weeks, I've lost one of my dearest friends to suicide. And
wow.
and there were signs, and I've also got clients who are like, you know, out of my last 10 hires, 4 of our people were on prescription drugs for depression and anxiety. It's like it's a really big thing, and I think as business owners we do have an obligation. And all I'm trying to do here is affirm you that you need to go tell the world, because if we can have the tools to be able to spot it, we can save lives, and that's only ever a good thing.
Yes, terrific. Appreciate that. That's helpful.
Bless you, mate. Now I've got some books here that I want to give you. I want to give you a book, right? So I don't know what the kind of thing you want to read, but let me give you what I've got here. I've got How to Win Friends and Influence People, which is an old classic you may have read.
I've got that one.
I've got Simon Sinek's book, Leaders Eat Last, which I reckon is a bit of a ripper for leadership. I've got The Barefoot Investor, The Barefoot Investor around, you know, personal wealth, communication with story, and building startups. So out of those, which one would you like, Brian?
I think the communication one would be excellent.
The Power of Communication by Rick Rushton. Awesome. All right, one of my team will reach out to you, get your address, and we'll send that out to you.
Tremendous. Thank you.
Bless you, mate. Awesome. All right, I want more questions, right? Hit the message, go to Business Greenhouse, hit the message, put your phone number in there or your question or whatever it is. Craig's going to reach out to you. By the way, guys, as you're watching this, do me the honor, hit the share button. Share up the show, all right? If you hit share, more people will see it, and that will be a blessing for me. So share the show, please.
Hello, it's David speaking.
David, it's Wez Hone. You're on Kingdom Business TV.
Hey, Wes, how you going, mate?
Good. Merry Christmas to you.
Yeah, Merry Christmas to you too.
What can I help you with?
So, look, the question I have here for you at the moment is 1 Corinthians 9 to 10. I mean, you can pull it out if you want, but it pretty much goes into about muzzling the ox, and that the workers would have a hope for the share of the harvest. Now, I have a couple of questions, but I guess, does harvest mean profit? What does that look like? Would be part A of my question. B, should the employees have a hope? Like, should there be an expectation of a hope for the harvest? And then maybe part C of the question, it's a long one, is there some practical advice of how to put that into practice, maybe even from your own experience of putting that verse into practice?
Okay, cool. I don't think it has one application, the scripture. You know, at the end of the day, they turn up and they get paid. So they're already getting some benefit from the harvest. They're getting paid. Mm-hmm. So you, as a business owner, you don't have an obligation to cut them in on the profit, right? Like capitalism is a beautiful thing, right? There's no better model yet than capitalism. There's kingdom culture, but we haven't got that, you know, manifest in the world yet. So the best thing we have is capitalism, which is make more money than you need and then use your money to bless others. It's okay to make a profit and you don't have to give it back. So what I don't want you to do is feel like you should start, you know, eating away all your profits and your margins, you know, out of a scripture that says that. So They're getting paid. They're already getting some of the harvest. That's kind of how I see it. Now, should you give away some of your profit? Sure, you can do that to people that you really trust. So if they've been with you a long time and you can see their character and they're a person of nobility, then great. Then feel free to do that. But don't feel like you have to. And that's really, really simple. I think it's really simple. We're just talking here about a profit share. So you're sitting down with the team or part of the team. It doesn't have to be everybody. It could just be the people that have been with you longest or that you really trust or whatever. You sit down with them and say, okay, this is what we did this year. This is what I'd like you to help me get next year. Anything above this, and I'll cut you a percentage. So, above this number, I'll give you 5% of the profit, 3% of the profit, 2% of the profit, whatever the number is, doesn't really matter. And then what you're doing is you're probably going to get more discretionary effort from those people because now they've got some more buy-in to the big picture. Okay. Obviously,
and that's a wise idea. You've seen that practically worked out pretty well.
I've seen it work more than it fails, but it does definitely fail because if you do it to the wrong person, they have an entitled mentality. So all they do is go, great. They've already factored into their wages. So they go, okay, well, I'll probably earn an extra 20 grand a year and I earn 80. So I'm on 100 this year. And then when they get it, they just go, oh, well, great. They don't care. See, some people are not driven for finance. Right? Some people don't care about money. And so you say to them, I'll cut you in. They're like, okay, great. If I get it, I do. And if I don't, it doesn't matter. So that's where it falls over. You'd be better, for someone like that, you'd be better off to say, what does motivate them? What motivates them is, they've never been to Disneyland. Great, hit this target and I'll send your family to Disneyland. If that's what motivates them, that would be a better outcome. If you want to go to the extreme, right, then you make them earn some equity in your business, right? So you could say, listen, if you get me to this point over 2 or 3 years, I'll give you 3, 5, 7% of the company. And then you'll get a dividend at the end of the year on top of your wages. But they're in bed with you at that point, right? That's that's taking it to the extreme. But you can do any of those. But I don't want you to feel like you have to. It's probably a cheaper option to just pay them a better wage, right? So if they're on 60, give them 70 if you want to be generous. If they're on 70, give them 80. You could probably just get out of it that way, if you wanted to really, really bless them. But I wouldn't take that scripture that you said and make it like I've got to give my profit away to my team or half my profit away to my team. They've already got paid to work, right? So you can do that, and you could probably do that to the long-serving people that've been with you and they've got the right heart and they're for you. But don't feel like you've got to do it for everybody.
If people approach you on that equity one, have you ever put that into practice yourself, or is that something that you'd say, I really want to stay away from that and go with the cheaper option that you talked about?
Yeah, for me, it's all circumstantial. It depends on the person. It depends on the business I'm in, right? Some businesses aren't worth giving equity away in because they don't have any value as a company, right? So, and some don't have high margins. So, they're working on a low profit. So there's no point in promising to give away a low number, right? So yes, I've done it, and I really like it. What it does is it actually puts golden handcuffs on people. If they're people you really know, like, and trust, and you want them for the long haul, it's a great way to get them to be bought into the big picture. But for me, it's the rarity. It's not the norm, right? The people have got to show me over a long period of time that they can be trusted, right? Their character needs to be almost flawless for me to want to give away part of my company that I've spent so many years building for them.
Yeah. Oh, that's really good.
All right, so I've got some books here for you, David, and you get to choose one. Right, so you get to I'm going to read them to you, and you can choose, and then we're going to get it sent out to you. Right, so we've got the Barefoot Investor, which is all around personal finance. We've got How to Win Friends and Influence People, which is basically a rapport building book from years ago. We've got Simon Sinek's book, Leaders Eat Last, and we've got Peter Thiel's book, 0 to 1. Which one would you like?
You know what? I'll be listening in, and that Simon Sinek one, that would be a dream if you were to bless me with that.
Well, we can make dreams come true, David. So, mate, all good. I am going to get this out to you. It probably won't make you by Christmas now because Australia Post suck, but we will send it as soon as we possibly can.
Thanks very much.
Mate, have a Merry Christmas, and I appreciate you calling in.
You too.
Bless you.
Thanks.
All right, so for you guys watching, enough from the dog. what was the thing that popped to you in those last couple of questions? What was the thought that you had? I want to see a comment in the comments box from you guys who are watching. Tazina, awesome. Jody Thomas, you're awesome. Mia, you're back again. Jeremy Bell's on. Glenda, you're on. You guys bless me so much. What was the thing that popped for you in those last couple of questions, right? I want the feedback loop that is there. Craig, hit me with some more callers, right? We're doing a Christmas show. It's going to run longer. Stay as long as you can. Hit share so that more people see it. Put comments in the comments box. And that would be a real blessing to me. That's what makes me want to get up here and do these twice a week for you guys, all right? So put some comments. What was the thing that popped for you in those last couple of questions, all right? I want the feedback loop. All right. Craig, what do you got there? Mary.
Hello.
Mary, it's Wez Hone. You're on Kingdom Business TV.
Yeah, hi Wes, how you doing?
I am wonderful. Merry Christmas to you.
And to you, thanks.
What can I help you with?
Yeah, well basically I'm just wanting to know what your opinion is on the whole trust thing of how to take that leap of faith from being a one-man band business owner to actually beginning to hire people. And how do you actually go about doing that in faith as well, not just practically, but also in faith, trusting that the Lord will actually provide for you to be able to pay those people?
Yeah. So it's a great question, and it's probably the hardest stage of any business is to go from, a solo operator to 1, 2, and 3 staff. So credit to you for even going through that stage. What I don't like about what you said is the faith step. Like for the Lord to provide.
Yeah.
To me, that's just not a good model. Like it's kind of blackmail. We're kind of saying to the Lord, listen, I'm going to employ someone. You better bring the money in for me to pay them. So I'm just really not a fan. To me, I think the Lord's got better things to do than worry about that, right? So for me, I mean, of course, He blesses us all day, every day. But I would rather put a practical strategy around that works for me. Right, rather than to me, it kind of feels like we're abdicating a little bit. That's how it feels to me. So remember though that you don't have to go from no staff to a full-time staff member. Right, there are some middle ground that you can go through that I think are quite exciting, because depending on your industry, a full-time staff member might be 40 grand a year, 50 grand, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, depending on what you're doing. Right, and so that's a really big jump. And like I've said before, I think you can afford to make the jump on a staff member when you can afford 75% of their wages, or you basically just have a look at how long is it going to take this person to be self-sufficient. So if that's 1 month, then I would make sure I have 2 months worth of buffer. If that's 2 months for them to become self-sufficient, I would have 3 months worth of wages set aside so that I'm taking the pressure off a little bit, right? But I wouldn't employ someone when I don't have the customers coming in the door and I don't have the cash to pay them. That's just a recipe for disaster. So in the short term, depending on the kind of tasks that you want done, you could possibly go to the global workforce, right? Like Upwork, UPWORK, Upwork.com, and post jobs and get people to help you with that stuff. And they're going to be anywhere around the world from $5 an hour to 500, depending on what you want done. But you're paying for an outcome, right? So you don't have the commitment of a full-time wage. So you might say, listen, instead of employing an admin person in Australia, you might say, I'm going to get my admin tasks done offshore, and it'll probably cost you a quarter of the price of having it done in Australia. So that's one option. You can get interns. You can have interns that come and work in your business, and the trade-off is that you're going to train them because they're green, or you could find a subcontractor, right? Like the amount of people that are doing their own books is madness to me, because you can bring in a bookkeeper at between $60 and $80 an hour or something, and they'll do it for you and they'll do it faster. So what that does is if you're outsourcing, or if you've got a subcontractor or a part-time person, what that allows you to do is get some of your time back, which means you can put that time you can put that time onto high-level tasks, right? Which means now you've got more money. So that's to me, that's a natural progression to a full-time staff member, right? You can play in that space. Here's another group that I think get completely overlooked, right? So stay-at-home mums that are re-entering the workforce. This group, I think, are amazing because, you know, they obviously have kids. They spend however many years raising kids. Now they've got to get back in the workforce. They're usually overqualified for the jobs they can get. So they'll really appreciate getting a head start, right? They'll appreciate a job. They're insanely loyal, and you can normally get a better skill set than what you have to pay because their skills might be 5 years old or 10 years old, so they're prepared to work at a lower level. So that group there, they'll happily work 3 days a week from 9 till 2 because they want to do the school run either end. So that person there, for example, it doesn't have to be a mum, but it's typically a mum, right? Still only mums are having kids, despite what the media will tell you. That group of people right there, they, you know, it's only going to cost you 20 grand to have them working for you all year because they don't work full-time hours. And so they can really help you out. And that person could just be there for 6 months to build your business to the point where you can afford a full-time staff member and then you're away. To me, if you can't make the jump, we've got to hack it. We've got to hack at the process because it's not okay to stay where you are. Right. You don't want to stay where you are. If you can't afford the jump, what's the middle ground that you want to hack through? And there's just a few ideas that you could use for that.
That is awesome. Thank you. So would you say you would have some form of a budget kept aside for the initial first months to ensure that you could pay those hours?
Yep.
Would that be wise to obviously have that cash available?
100%.
In order to pay the person, hey?
Let me give you the nuances.
Pay as you go.
Let me give you the nuances, right? For example, if you are employing an electrician, right? An electrician is probably a self-starter and will probably bring in more money than they actually cost by the end of week 2. So that person's got a very short run cycle between when they start and when they're profitable. But let's say you brought in, an architect that needed to be trained for 2 months on your internal systems before they could ever go on a job. Well, you need to be able to cash flow 3 to 4 months of their wages before they start bringing in more than they cost. So it's just about looking at how quickly can you recover the overhead and then making sure you've got more wages set aside than that time.
Really good. Thank you.
Now, I've got some books here I want to give away because it's Christmas, right? And I'm giving away books, but God gave away his only son. So let me ask you, I've got 3 books here that you can choose from. We've got The Barefoot Investor, which is personal finance, How to Win Friends and Influence People, which is rapport building, and 0 to 1, which is kind of like a tech startup book. Which one would you like, Mary?
Oh, I would love The Barefoot Investor.
Thought you might say that. All right. Well, Mary, good talking to you. Have a super Christmas, and I really appreciate you calling in the show, and hopefully our paths cross soon.
Thank you. Bless you, Wez.
Bless you. That's how it's done around here, folks. Doing my best to help as many people as we can using technology, right? Everyone's talking about how the left loonies are ruining the world, but I'm using their platforms to talk about Jesus. So talk about that for fun. All right. Tell me, guys, I want the feedback, all right? Rate my show between 1 and 10. 1 being terrible, 10 being great. Rate my show and hit share. All right, I want more people to find out about this. I've got a couple more things I want to give away. I'm going to give away a one-on-one coaching session to somebody who asks a really curly question. So go into Send Business Greenhouse a message. Craig will reach out to you and he'll get you on the phone. Have you got a couple more there, Craig? All right, let's get straight into some more. I'm feeling it, feeling festive. So there's a Santa hat. Cara.
Hello, this is Kai speaking.
Cara, it's Wez Hone. You're on Kingdom Business TV.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm great. Merry Christmas to you.
Merry Christmas.
What can I help you with?
I was calling through today because I wanted to get your perspective on trying to shake up my industry and get a new culture. So my industry is the creative industry, and we're very fragmented, and there's kind of little bits going on over here and there. And I want to get your perspective on trying to get some community spirit going in my local area and how I might be able to achieve that.
Awesome. Give me a bit more context on the outcome. What do you mean to kind of build community and get connected? For what purpose? Give me a tangible on what that might look like.
Okay, so one is just to kind of know who's even working in the industry. So just sort of being able to maybe create some sort of a database of just knowing who's around.
Nice.
Because you've got businesses that are creative businesses through to like more sole traders that work for themselves as like artists or creators. And then the other reason would be because I run an events company, I would obviously love to get those people out into the workforce in the events that I run.
Love it.
So it works for my business and grows that as well.
And it works for them, right? Because they get a community of people that get them, and then they might even get some work out of it from you, which is really cool. So my first thought, right, would be to run a meetup, right? Just go to meetup.com, organize a meetup, find a venue, and then do a video on Facebook, Instagram, across platforms, and go, hey guys, I'm a creative, and you know what? People can feel real lonely out there. So I'm putting together a meetup on Tuesday at 5 o'clock at this place. I'd love you guys to come. Click over and come, and go into some more detail. What are they going to get from coming? And then just blast that across every platform. Get creatives to share it. You know, musos and all the other creatives. Ask for people to go viral with that information. And then what happens is, let's say you do all of that work and you get 9 people turn up to your meetup. Great. Now you can get their email addresses, do a meetup in a month's time, and ask those 9 to go and find 2 more, and then you're off your, then you've got your 30, and then you keep growing from there. I think because you could probably do a digital version. You could create a private Facebook group and put all your people in there. Like that would be a cool way. But there's an element of community you're missing by not meeting in person. And because you said at the start of your question, in my area, I think it naturally you should get everyone together in a room.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. I think it would be really cool if there was a way to follow that through with less meetups, because my calendar and my schedule's probably like quite full to be able to do that consistently. So I like the idea of the Facebook group as well.
Yeah, maybe you do quarterly meetups into a Slack group or a Facebook group. Maybe you start a Slack channel for creatives, and because then on the fly, like on a Tuesday morning when you've got a spare 3 minutes, you can shoot a video, put it in there, and start building that community, asking other people to do the same. Yeah, so you could do a mix, right, of digital and face-to-face, and quarterly you get people together to join your Slack group or your Facebook group, and then you get the best of both worlds. You could even have your tribe invite your tribe, right? So if you had a Slack channel, give people permission to go and find other people and invite them in, and then you'll probably find that it grows exponentially.
Yeah.
All right,
Another
hit me with
question
it.
is, how would you go about finding maybe like key influencers in the industry to try and get some traction, starting it that way?
Yeah, so influencers will still be around for about another 6 to 12 months before that industry falls apart. But anyway, so my first thought is go to Instagram, right? Search hashtags of whatever hashtags people would be typing. So, hashtag creative business, hashtag I'm a creative. You just sit there, you type in any hashtag you possibly think creatives might use. Like let's say I'm a creative was a hashtag. You type it in, you do a search, the top 20 posts will be at the top. You can see if there is 1 or 2 people who dominate, who use that hashtag a lot and have a good following. I didn't say the biggest following, I said a good following. Means you're better off to have somebody with a smaller database with engagement than you are a big database of no engagement. And then you just send them a direct message and say, hey, listen, this is my company, this is my business, this is what I'm looking for. Let me know if you're keen to chat. If you are, let's catch up. If you're not, no pressure. But you've got to go through a process of elimination. And it's a little, you've got to manually do this, right? You're just basically sitting there, over a coffee one morning and going, okay, what are the possible hashtags that somebody might use in my industry? Type in, 9 out of 10 of them won't be any good, and then you might hit the golden vein of one that is, and then you just reach out to that person and do a deal with them, whether that's pay them money or something in kind or whatever you want to do. But maybe they just want to help you because some people are just nice.
Yeah, awesome. You
can pick of one of 2 books here, Cara, because I'm giving books away because it's Christmas, right? And Christmas is a great time to be generous. But you get to pick from one of these 2, right? So we've got How to Win Friends and Influence People, which is a pretty cool book. And then we've got 0 to 1, which is a book by Peter Thiel, who is a venture capital from America. Which one would you like?
I think I have to go 0 to 1 because I already have the other one.
Good. I reckon I have skimmed through it. And it's a great book. So we will send that out to you. And by we, I mean Craig. Have a super Christmas, Cara. And
Thank you, Wez.
appreciate you calling in with some good, solid questions.
All right, see ya.
Bless you. Wow, there we go. There we go. Some solid business advice. How are we looking, Craig? On you okay? All right. Well, let's bring them straight through. And by the way, if you've got a really, really curly question, I'm going to be giving away a coaching session, one-on-one with me and probably Craig. 30 minutes. We're going to coach you through some stuff. So get on the phone, put a question in, ask me some curly one, try and trip me up, and we'll see how we go. Greg, thanks for watching. Appreciate you coming in. Who have we got here? Lisa.
Hello.
Lisa, it's Wez Hone. You're on Kingdom Business TV.
How you going, Wes?
Good. How are you?
I'm very well indeed.
Good. Merry
I have
Christmas.
a quick question for you. Investment opposed to or versus interest. So I've got some money that I've got invested in short term, and I've got a business where I have a business loan. So my question is, the interest that I'm collecting on the short-term loan and the interest I'm paying on my business loan, there's about $1,000 a month difference. Am I better to pull that short-term loan out and stick it straight into my business?
You mean take it and pay off the loan?
And pay off the loan, yeah. And that way reducing the interest as well as reducing the principal, I suppose, and the time.
That's a good question. Give me some more context, right? What are the amounts? Like, what's the debt versus what's the...
Okay, so the debt is a bit under 770,000.
770,
and and the investment is about 250,000, and I've got another 150 coming. Another 150 cash still being
and what's
coming out.
What's the revenue in your business?
Yearly.
But give me an idea of the number. Like, what's your gross turnover for a year?
Say 25,000 a month.
So it's 300 grand a year.
Yep.
Okay. So based on those numbers, I mean, $770,000 debt scares me a bit on a revenue or a turnover of 300K. Now, of course, you've got 250.
It wasn't what. Yeah, because it's a bit of a story that went with it. So, but anyway,
Sure.
that's where I'm at the moment.
Yeah, sure, and we'll have those. So don't worry about that. But I guess I just want to bring it back to a manager amount. What I wouldn't want to do, I don't want to pay the 250 off the 770. Actually, let me say it again. You've got the 150 coming. Maybe you do pay the 250 off the 770, but with the 150, like at some point, you've got to take some money and invest it in the business to turn your 300 grand into 3 million. You need to build the revenue of your business to 400,000, 500,000, 600, 700, like to $1 million, because that's what fixes the long-term problem of making lots of money. And the way you do that, right, is you make sure that you can buy customers cheaply, good product, good team, and then you can scale your business. So I'd be taking some of the 150 that's coming and investing it back in the business, not into the debt, so that I could turn my 300 grand into 600 grand. Then my business can pay down my debt easily without it being too much pressure. But I think if you take the if you take the 400,000 and put it onto the 770, you've still got 370 grand's worth of debt and 300 grand a year revenue. I would be looking to scale. I'd be looking to scale the business, because that's the long-term solution to the debt problem.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Right now, I think that right there that's a good detailed question. So, so if you would like, in January, Craig and I will jump onto a one-on-one coaching call with you around your business. Maybe we can help you take your $300,000 to $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 if you'd like that. Then you can just let Craig know in Messenger, and we will reach out to you and have a coaching session, and that would be great for me.
I'd absolutely love it.
Well, Merry Christmas.
Because I'm at a point where I need to make some choices. So, yeah, that'd be fantastic.
Perfect. All right, well, yeah, we won't charge you. We'll just get on the phone and we'll do a session with you, because you asked a nice technical question and you were prepared to be vulnerable and give me the real numbers. Lisa, have a super Christmas. Thanks for calling in.
Thank you. You too.
Bless you.
Cheers.
That's a pretty good question. Craig, is that finger saying you got one more there? All right, let's keep going. Not that they're going to have a lot of choice on which book they get. Feeling festive. From the USA. All right, we have a caller here from the United States of America. Kingdombusiness.com.au. Join me. Let me and my team invest in you for 2 whole days. All right, we're going to go super deep at the Kingdom Business. You know, it's going to be 2 days of training, worship, church, ministry, prayer. Super powerful. We've had 5,000 people come through in the last, I don't know, probably more than that. 6,000 people come through in the last 6 years, and I'd love to have you join me in 2019. It's only $79 or $99 for 2, and it's an amazing time. So go to kingdombusiness.com.au, check it out, read through it. If it feels right, make sure you join me. That'd be super cool. Do we have a name? Glenda.
Hello.
Glenda, it's Wez Hone. You're on Kingdom Business TV.
Hello.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas to you.
So, Glenda, what can I help you with today?
Well, I have a business that I currently run out of my home, and I'm transitioning to take it to a brick and mortar. Mm-hmm. I have someone that has approached me to invest, and part of it is it's going to be a teaching bakery, and part of the business is I do gourmet pet treats, and that part of the business was named after my dog Kirkby, and it was called Kirkby Cookies. And I have not a large following, but I do have some loyal customers, and that part was starting to expand. And last week, he became very ill to the point where we had to have him put to sleep. And I have hesitated. I don't know whether or not I do a lot of business on Facebook. Mm-hmm. Most of my business and my advertising for that is on Facebook. And I don't know whether or not I should make any kind of announcement, because my advertising that I do as if he's speaking. Yeah. He's the one doing the advertising. So I don't know whether or not I should make any kind of announcement that the founder of the company has passed. Yeah. Or something like that, or if I should just leave it alone.
So first of all, sorry for your loss. It can be tough when you lose a dog or any pet for that matter.
Thank you.
But my short answer is no, you shouldn't tell anybody. I reckon that would be really bad for the business to put out a press release or put out some content around, hey, the founder who normally writes in this voice has sadly died. Like, I think that's crazy. I think you just keep the story moving. Obviously, you've built language around it. You just keep it going. I mean, you know, take it away from a dog and put it into, you know, a human. There are so many companies that have a face now of somebody who has passed on, and it doesn't detract over time. It doesn't detract. In fact, it could even add a fun element when people down the line realize that the dog hasn't been around for a while and the legacy of the dog lives on. But if you go out right now, I think it kind of bursts the balloon of the story and the cadence that you've been able to build around it.
Okay.
Now, whereabouts in America are you?
I am in the state of North Carolina, in a little town called Hickory.
Yeah, you're near Billy Graham country there.
Yes, I am.
Yeah,
yes,
very
I
good,
am.
very good.
I'm about my husband is from Asheville, where Billy Graham's home was at.
Well, Billy Graham is my dead set hero. I am in awe of that fella. He did an amazing job, and God bless America.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Appreciate you calling in, Glenda, and you're our first international guest, and we hope for many more. Really appreciate you taking the time to call me here today.
Well, I found you because of a dear, sweet friend of mine who I hope someday I get to come to your country. Her name is Irene, and she sent me a link to you, and I have been following you ever since. And
Wow.
she has a bakery in your country, and
good.
she and I Skype with each other. So I have a Facebook pen pal.
Very good. Well, hopefully our paths will cross over there. I've done some events in the US, and we'll do more in the future. So stay tuned.
Well, thank you, and I appreciate everything that you do. You are truly blessed by God. So.
Oh, I appreciate that. I know I certainly feel the same way. Have a super Christmas. Bless you heaps, Glenda.
Thank you. Thank you. You too.
Well, look at that. That wraps up another show here, and the Christmas show. Hey, listen, I'm going to take a couple of weeks off tomorrow, and so we won't have a show next week or the week after. We'll be putting out the snippets. We've got heaps of content to get to you, but there won't be an actual live until the 7th of January, which is when I'm going to be back. People are like, oh, you're losing momentum. No, I'm spending time with my family, right? They matter most. So I'm going to go and spend 2 weeks with them, and then get back to this on the 7th of January. So make sure 7th of January, 3 o'clock Queensland time, 4 o'clock Smart time, we'll get back on here and do this. You know what? Over Christmas, do me a favor. Come to kingdombusiness.com.au. So come to the summit. If you're enjoying these, but you would prefer to have them as podcasts where you just hear because you're driving or you're mowing the lawn, all of these get put onto iTunes and Stitcher. Okay, so whether you've got Android or iPhone, you can listen to these. So if you go to businessgreenhouse.com.au/podcast, you can select on that page whether you want it Stitcher or iTunes. It'll take you through, and you can subscribe to that channel, and you'll get all the future audio. So if you're preferring podcasts, go and do that. It's on YouTube, it's on Facebook, it's on Instagram, and it's on LinkedIn. Why? Because it's 2018, soon to be 2019, and the technology is there. It's a delight for me to do this for you. Please leave a comment in the comments box about what you thought of the show. But remember this. I said this before, I'll say it again, right? We are about to celebrate the birth of our Savior, right? You know, it's an amazing time. Whether it was exactly December, to me, who cares, right? God gave his only begotten Son to pay the way for our sins and my sins so that I don't have to. You cannot get a better deal than that. So my prayer for you over Christmas is God gives us the grace to deal with in-laws, grace to deal with family. I pray you're safe. It's been a delight doing this for you. And remember, if we're going to build a kingdom business, it must start with the King. Merry Christmas.